Tell me if this sounds like you. Are you a person who is supportive of the transgender and non-binary community? You understand and believe people when they tell you who they are, and you're afraid to talk about it. You're afraid to have conversations about it because you're not exactly sure what are the right words to use to talk about gender. What are the right words to use to affirm someone's identity? And you're just afraid of getting it wrong because you don't want to hurt anyone. And you also don't want to be seen as not supportive. And so you often back away, or you often use the disclaimer, I'm not really sure the right words to use. If this sounds like you, what if I told you that I could help you in 3 months feel confident in talking about gender? I could help you learn the language around gender and know how to navigate the various instances where there might be more than one way to communicate something, as well as understand and not be afraid of making mistakes. That instead of seeing mistakes as something that is going to destroy a relationship, see it as something that can actually build and strengthen your connection with other people. I provide all of this in what I've just created, which is the School of Engendering Inclusivity. I have created a school for engendering inclusivity to help people like you that are supportive and want to understand more and want to be able to express that support without fear. I have created this school for you to be able to learn so that you leave in 3 months feeling confident talking about gender, feeling confident about your support for the transgender and non-binary community. And here's the thing, I do it in a way that it doesn't have to take a lot of time. You don't have to go to school, like back to school, get a degree, get a master's degree, whatever. You don't have to do that. In my school, it's 15 minutes, um, 15 minutes at a time, 3 times a week for 3 months. If you spend that time, can you find 15 minutes a day, 3 times a week? So 45 minutes a week for 3 months. Could you find that time to learn and understand gender? Because that's all that it takes. You're not gonna have to do it my way, which is I've been doing this work for over a decade, and I've got to where I am today by reading a lot of books, by attending a ton of conferences and webinars, and talking to people, the advocates that are willing to teach. I want to specify that talking, being involved within the community, learning from people willing to teach me. The hours I have spent doing all these things, I have put into this school for you so that it doesn't take you hours the way it does me. It takes you 45 minutes a week for up to 3 months to feel confident talking about it. And the thing is I stay up to date. So as long as you're in there, you'll get the information to stay up to date as well. And so what I've created in the school is to be able to do that and to be able to do it in a way that provides privacy. And I'm going to spell out exactly how I do all these 3 things, which is having you be more confident understanding how it takes less time and how to do it privately. Because sometimes, and I've talked about this in a previous podcast, where people mention, I feel like I should know. And so it's hard for them to say, actually, I don't know. And here's my question. And please don't judge me for my question. So I have set up the school to help people with all 3 of those things: learning and feeling more confident talking about gender and being able to express that support that you have in your heart, and as well as doing it in a way that doesn't take the time it took me to get here, to do it for you in 45 minutes a week. And then finally, to do it privately, to do it on your own way and your own time. So here's how it's set up. I have the courses, multiple courses, but they are split up into small segments, anywhere from 3 minutes to up to just under 20 minutes a class. And um, and I will say, I think on average, they average about 12 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes each. So those are the way the classes are set up. You decide which classes you take, what you want to do. Some of them have worksheets with them. Some of them have ways to reflect. And I'll go through the individual courses on their own. So you know what you need. You get what you need out of there. But on top of it, I think watching the videos, learning is one thing and it's helpful. But the other thing that is really required for me in learning is having that opportunity to ask questions. I had mentors, I had people that I could go to, and I still do, that I can safely have a discussion and ask questions to. But not everybody has that resource. So I become that resource for you. I think it is one of the most important things about learning to be able to go to somebody and say, okay, hold on a second, I don't get this. Why can't I say, you know, why can't I say this and not that? Like, why do I have to say it this way? So let me think of an example. Um, uh, I had one in my head, and this is part of the age I'm at right now, where things come in my head and they fleet out very quickly. So let me give you an example. How do I talk about people prior to transition? Why can't I say when they were a boy, girl, man, woman? And so that's you have to have a place where you can say that. I don't understand what's wrong with saying this. And then talking about why that might be a problem for everybody. I mean, we're humans, we're nuanced. There will be some people that don't have a problem with that, but I would say the majority of people would. And understanding why that would be and how else you could say it, how else you could do it. So that's kind of what I thought of with having a chance to ask questions. I offer twice a month live Q&A. So they're office hours, just like in school. There are office hours that you can come and ask whatever question you want without judgment, without fearing like, I don't know the right words to ask my question. I want you just to ask your question because we all learn from it. A lot of times people have questions that other people do have the same question, or maybe they didn't realize they had that question, but when you mention it's like, yeah, I didn't know that. Why is that the case? And so we can have a discussion, and I think those discussions really help understand gender. You can even bring something like, I was thinking about writing this on my web page for my business. What do you think? Does this seem inclusive? Is this the way you would word this? I mean, I have gotten questions like that in the past 10 plus years from healthcare professionals, from educators, from businesses saying, this is what I want to say. What do you think about this wording? And I don't just say, bring out my red pen, although I'm talking, not writing, but in saying, no, 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 no. I just say, okay, let's understand, what are you trying to convey? Here's the problem I might see with this, and here's why. And I think that's the key, is really understanding why creates an understanding. And that's what I do in the school, is not just give you a list of things to memorize, but really help you understand so that you can leave and navigate on your own. You can feel confident navigating on your own. You can understand the whys. It's going to help you understand all the situations we may not be able to come up with. So having that area where we can talk about like why I wouldn't say it this way, why I would say it this way. If this is your goal, this is how I would get there, and you can decide what the best option is for you. So I offer this live Q&A to do exactly that. And again, privacy for many people is important. They don't want people to know that they don't understand. I don't have judgment on that, but if that's you, where you want to be able to ask your questions but privately, not with everyone seeing your face, the Q&A sessions are set up in that form, in a webinar style, where you just see me. So you can write your questions in ahead of time. So like, what if I can't make one of the two sessions? Then you can write your questions in ahead of time. The Q&A, the office hours will always be recorded. I'll answer them. It's only me who's going to be seen. And if you come in live, the benefit of that is you can type in your questions, but as I answer them, as you have further questions, and you have the opportunity to follow up, and we can engage in that way, giving you the privacy where I'm the only one on camera, but you can ask your questions live and respond live. And sometimes the answers bring up other questions. So I want to provide that opportunity in a safe space where you don't have to think about, am I saying this the right way? Are these the right words? No, just ask your questions, because that's how we create change. That's how we create understanding. This is how we get it that after a 3-month term, you can go off and do this on your own. So you get the courses, which I'm going to go through in just a second, and you get twice a month live Q&A with me, and that will be recorded and you can watch back. Even if you do attend live, sometimes people want to watch it back to say, how did she say that again? What was the reason for this again? You can go and watch it back. So the courses that are in there that I try to touch on for a lot of people, the first one I recommend to everybody, and it's Gender 101, Learning the Language of Gender. And so that's exactly what it is. It's where I talk about the language, that question of like, I'm not sure the right words to use. I give you a lot of those words and phrases and explain them and describe them. And I talk about the common mistakes that people make with good intention. They will use this phraseology, and this is the phraseology I would. But the more important thing, again, which you'll notice the theme here, is understanding why. Why wouldn't I say it that way? Why would I say it this way? Because it's in understanding the why that we begin to understand gender. That's why I give every talk starting with a little bit of a Gender 101, so we understand not just that we're on the same page language wise, but we understand why we use that language, because then we begin to understand gender better. We begin to understand gender better when we differentiate biological sex from gender identity, from gender expression. Understanding that those are three separate things help you understand gender better. They also help you explore, and when I think I would venture to say all of us kind of were raised to think the three things were one and the same thing, that when we understand they're three different things, we can also begin as we speak, recognize those differences and stop making assumptions that are very common for all of us because of raised as those three things are the same thing. So for example, a very common question you may have heard me mention before is, why, if somebody identifies this way, I totally support that, but why do they dress that way? Understanding that this is identity and this is expression. There are a lot of reasons, but also understanding those two are very separate things. So that's where some of this comes to be, that the Gender 101, learning the language of gender, is not a matter of memorization. It is a matter of understanding why. Yes, it's giving you some of the language, so there is a little bit of that bit of memorization, but it is also understanding why. And that's, I don't just give you definitions. Why do we use this and not that? I think is so important to understanding, because with that understanding, you can navigate the language and the world around gender better, because you understand gender. Then it'll come to you easier to be like, well, of course I'm not going to use that because, you know, that's not gender. I'm not going to use that term. I'm not going to say when they were a boy because they may never have been a boy. And I say may because everyone experiences their gender journey differently. I think most people would say, no, I never was what I was assigned or designated at birth. But there are some people that say that's a part of my life experience, and I embrace it. So even like that kind of nuance, we talk about. We talk about that type of nuance so that, yes, you have the language, but then you also understand where there might be variations and differences, and I help you in these courses navigate those. As well as if you do make a mistake, if you do say something that someone says, hey, that doesn't align with me, I don't like that term, it doesn't feel good, you don't have to shut down. I teach you how to address it and how to connect and how to work through it and keep going. And some of that comes in the second class, which is probably the second most popular thing, which is learning pronouns painlessly. I help you understand what pronouns are. I help you understand when we talk about learning pronouns painlessly. It's also, if you know somebody and you knew them with a certain pronouns and then they become their true selves and share with you, give you the gift of sharing with you their identity and their pronouns, that I discuss why it can be challenging to switch from one pronoun to another once you know. And I give you ways to practice, to learn, to get to be able to use it more consistently sooner. I also talk about the singular they, because yes, most of us may have used a singular they in the sense of the unknown person, right? Somebody left their phone here, I'm sure they will come back. We don't assume it's a group of people. We assume it's one person that left their phone there and that they will come back. However, it still is a different pattern, a different neural pathway we have to create in our brain to use a singular they for a specific person. And so I give strategies to learn that, just the way you learned that they, like, it's not innate in us that they is plural. It's something we learned. And so we can learn that they can be singular as well. And I give tips and explanations and strategies to do exactly that. So learning pronouns painlessly and Gender 101, learning the language of pronouns, are really two courses that everybody can benefit from, that everyone really appreciates in teaching, my teaching on that. The other classes are a little bit more specific, but broader than what you might think. So one of them is creating a gender inclusive business. And I use the term business loosely. I use the term business, anyone that accepts money for providing a service to another person. So whether you're a private educational institute, whether you're a healthcare provider, whether, you have a business of any kind, this is for you, where I walk through all the things to consider within your business, from your marketing to your copy to your policies to your staff, everything to think of to create a gender inclusive business. And I even talk about in there, what if you're a gendered business? Meaning, what if you're a business that's clientele, you're focusing on a specific gender, that is your thing. I talk about how, in what ways to consider and be gender inclusive there. Doesn't mean that you have to broaden your audience if you don't want to, but understand what your goal is by gendering your audience. And then when you understand it, you keep it that way, but you're able to express, market yourself, explain what you do much better. And it will help your services, the people you serve, be able to understand what you're doing and what you're trying to achieve. It'll also help you do what you're trying to do in your business better, because it requires you to look into, why am I focusing on this gender? What am I after? What is my goal? Does this do it? If it does do it, great. How do I explain that and express that? So there is something for everyone in that, creating a gender inclusive business. I also include in there a shorter talk I gave at a summit, and a Q&A session I did afterwards about navigating gender inclusivity. And in that talk, I provide an audit of how to audit your business for gender inclusivity. So they're really well partnered together. The last couple of courses I do are focused for parents. However, many people can benefit from it, and I'll explain how. So one of them is how to support your transgender non-binary child. And in there, I go through how to talk about them, talk with your child, how to take care of yourself, how to take care of your child, how to be supportive, how to be affirmed. And in this class, even if you don't have a transgender or non-binary child, there are great parenting tips in there. So that's one benefit to people that don't have a transgender non-binary child. The other benefit is you can often hear tips on how you can be better supportive of a family that has a transgender or non-binary child. So there are multiple people that can benefit from that course. And then the last one, probably something sought after from me, from a lot of people because of my background as an OBGYN, is having the talks with your gender diverse child. Now, yes, that talk is specifically for teaching sexual health to a transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, gender non-conforming child. However, I say near the beginning of that talk that what I teach in there, I teach that to anyone, whether you have a gender diverse child or not. It is how you approach those conversations, how you decide what to say it, how to approach it, and so forth and so on. People love that talk regardless of how their child identifies. It is an extremely valuable talk. People leave there saying, okay, now I have a better idea. I never thought of it this way. I have a better idea. Some of this is so easy to do. And some of you might be like, really easy? It's so uncomfortable. Yeah, we talk about that too. We talk about how some things can be uncomfortable and how you can work through it and show up to give your kids that education you want. So if you can't tell, you're getting my over a decade of expertise. I have helped journalists, healthcare providers, educators, communities, families. I have helped so many people, and I wanted to put it all succinctly in a place for you, the person that is supportive, that's affirming, but doesn't have the confidence to talk about, not really sure, how do I do this? What do I do? It is all in the school. And like I said, for about 45 minutes a week, break it up into 3 15-minute segments, about 45 minutes a week, for up to 3 months, one term, you're going to leave there feeling more confident. You're going to leave there knowing how you want to be supportive, how it feels to you, how to set up your business that aligns with your values, how to be the person you want to be able to connect with more people, be more accepting to people. And oftentimes, what people have told me is they've gone into this to be more inclusive to transgender, non-binary population, but they find that they're able to connect with so many more people because a lot of these strategies just open them up to be inclusive way beyond that and have them thoughtful way beyond that. So it's extremely valuable. And if you're wondering, because if you're like me, I'm like, okay, so how much is this going to cost me? Like, am I forking out a semester of college tuition? And as somebody who has a child graduating from high school about to go to school next year, the answer is no, that's insane. um, what I'm offering for access to all my courses on your own time, to access to me twice a month, to ask any question you want with privacy, and being able to make that change so that you come out of there feeling more confident to talk about gender, being able to connect, to understand how you can be the person you want to be without shying away, without being fearful. 3 months, the cost is $297. So that's $99 a month basically, but we do 1 3-month time of $297. You are welcome to stay in longer if you want, but I really find that that 3 months is going to get you to where you want to be, if you have the time to put into it. And so if you want to learn more, if you want to see, if you're like me, you're kind of visual and you want to see what it looks like inside the course, you can go to engenderlove.com/courses. Let me say that again because I hesitated. Engenderlove.com/courses. There is a video on that page that will show you what it looks like inside. What does it look like inside those courses? And then you can sign up at the bottom of that page if that's something that interests you. I strongly encourage you, if what I have described today is you and you want to be different, you don't want to shy away from that conversation, and you don't have a lot of time, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. So you can go to engenderlove.com/courses, or if you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can do it on from my website contact page at engenderlove.com, or you can email me at shannon@engenderlove.com. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to working with you, and together we are going to make this world a better place.